Good morning once again, and welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. We appreciate you listening. If something resonates today, if something that we're talking about, say, hey, I have questions, that may be a good reason to just pick up the phone and say, hey, can I make an appointment with Glenn, with me, 612-504-8400, whether it's our CPA, Lance, our estate planning partners with Provision Law, whatever it is, or, hey, I want to attend one of those classes, you can give us a call, go online. Again, they're all educational. Talking a lot of insurance. I know, lots of insurance today, but at the end of the day, it's important because many of the listeners have insurance of some sort. They maybe don't understand what they have. They don't know what they're getting charged for what they have. And are they in the right position at this stage of life? When I say this stage of life, you know, your accumulation years are kind of dwindling for a lot of folks, and now we have the retirement golden years, preservation, distribution years. It is a different season of life. So are you in the right season? That's a big question mark.
Absolutely. We want to talk about annuities now. And you may be listening and thinking, well, why are we talking about annuities when we're talking about insurance? And this is something that I have learned from Larry over the time that we've worked together. All annuities come through insurance companies, right, Larry?
They do. Every annuity every single annuity is through the investment division of a life insurance company. Like or dislike them, they oftentimes have the money. They have to have a dollar for a dollar. But here's where we come right back again to the education piece. Throughout the year, it should be on our website, The Truth About Annuities. I teach classes on this a couple times a year because there's lots of confusion. And when I mean lots of confusion. First of all, let's figure out, well, what kind are there? Technically now there's 5 types. A newer one, which is registered indexed link annuities. It's more of a tied to the market with a buffer. You have to be careful. No dividends are paid. And again, is it appropriate? I'm not going to say it is or isn't. Just ask a lot of questions. You have variable annuities, which is the same thing as we just got done talking about as variable life insurance. Variable up and down, fees associated tend to be considerably higher. And then there's immediate annuities where you give up control of the balance for a paycheck. And then there's fixed annuities, which are just like bank CDs, but with a term. And then fixed indexed annuities, which I call are fixed on steroids, potentially to get better growth. So what I'll tell you is 75% of the listeners of some sort probably have an annuity, yet 80% don't know which one of the ones I just mentioned they have. I find that problematic because an annuity is a contract. Oftentimes one could say written in a foreign language that we don't speak nor understand. And again, it's your money. And if you don't understand something, that could pose some serious threats or questions. And so number one is, how about an annuity exam? Which one do you have, if any? Are they appropriate for you? They're misused in a lot of cases, Kim, because just this past week, again, I had somebody that came out to one of the classes, came in and visited with us. We walked him through our process. He has pensions. Him and his wife have pensions and Social Security, and they were paying for an income rider on a variable annuity to the tune of, over the last 14 years, $56,000 in fees. And they're never going to use this income rider because in our discussion, I said, well, your guys' income is great. Taxes are always going to be relevant. So do you really think you're going to turn on more income so you could get taxed more? And he goes, that was a complete waste of $50-some thousand in fees. So they're oftentimes misused. They're misunderstood. You don't have to use annuities, but we believe at Haven Financial Group, when done appropriately, they can be part of an effective portfolio. Not necessary, but part of an effective portfolio. The problem is, if you don't understand them and somebody's trying to sell you a bill of goods, you might have got sold a bill of goods.
Absolutely. That's maybe just what you got. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I know this seems very simplistic, but I think there are probably people sitting out there thinking to themselves, why would I need an annuity? What would that do for me?
I like that question. I really do. Number one, do you have a pension? Pensions are hard to come by. So if somebody doesn't have a lot saved and they want to guarantee an income stream for the rest of their life, well, these are the only companies that can do that. So it could be as a self-directed pension, if you will. Great reason to have them. As long as you understand, do you have an income rider, that you're not annuitizing? Again, a lot more questions need to be asked. Clients, a lot of our clients like to use them for diversification purposes. We have the wealth management side, the investment team. We have it in stocks and bonds. Absolutely. We've had Kyle on, certified financial planner, one of several on the team. And we do wealth management. However, a lot of times as people get closer to retirement, they want to take the risk off the gas pedal a little bit. And they don't want everything maybe in the market in stocks and bonds. And we can boil that down a lot deeper, but for the sake of time, we won't. And they want something that can give principal protection. We'll use it as a bond replacement in a portfolio. And I'll give you an example. In 2022, stocks were way down, 2 to 25%, let's say. Bonds were at 50-year lows. They were down 13 to 15%. 2022, listeners probably remember. And so that was a really tough year. Both stocks and bonds were way down. But if somebody had a fixed or fixed index annuity in their portfolio, worst case, they got a zero, and that year zero was a hero. And many of those made 3 to 5% when stocks and bonds were down. So it's a great way to diversify and give your portfolio some anchor or some principal protection. And that's really where we utilize it. And that's where it's, other folks are misusing it, because you have to ask yourself, what's the motive? Because I will tell you, there are some folks out there, the only tool they have in their toolbox is that tool. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the only tool they got in their toolbox. What tool do you think they're going to use? That might not be appropriate for you, and it's certainly not appropriate for everybody.
Sure. Let me ask you about the tax ramifications of most annuities. What's the tax situation?
Another great question. All annuities are tax deferred. Okay. So taxes are deferred until you take it out. Now, in different types of money, you have IRA money. IRA money is already deferred anyways. You have Roth money. That's all already deferred. So then it comes down to non-qualified types of money, brokerage accounts. If you have that in a non-qualified annuity, the difference is when you take it out, it's going to be taxed at ordinary income tax rates differently than long-term capital gains rates that would be in your brokerage account. So that sometimes isn't the best place for non-qualified in an annuity. But again, there's certain factors that would be put into the equation. And I think it'd be a good time, Glenn, if you would just comment because we have talked about long-term care, just explain long-term care annuities and how they really can fit.
Yeah. So for some consumers that are good savers, right, the prospect of traditional long-term care insurance isn't very attractive, and I can understand why. Some of the features there would not be something I would consider if I have been a good saver, right? But where is that leverage for our dollar? And there are definitely some opportunities in the annuity market for long-term care that are there. An example of that right now is a non-qualified product that would allow you to set aside a lump sum of money and leverage it for long-term care. The insurance company, if you qualify, would multiply that balance by 3 for you, so tripling the money you have in that account for long-term care. Still give you a rate of return, so you're still getting interest on the value of your money on top of that. That money wasn't given away at all. You still own all that money yourself. It's not given away to any institution as their money now. And it's leverage against long-term care that if you need it, you have 7 years right now in that policy for a couple that spreads that 3 times balance out over that 7-year period of time. Right? Even within 9 years of growth that would happen in that policy today, that could turn into 4 times the value of that account for long-term care needs. And as much as we all believe that the markets can do a good job for us, I'm not aware of any investment that triples and quadruples our money in that time frame. Right? That, again, leverages the dollar for long-term care. So it's more for you if you need it, but without giving it up either. So one of those reasons the savers don't like the traditional path of long-term care is because if nothing happens and they don't get sick, they feel like they lost that bet. Right? Mm-hmm. They lost that money. It's now the insurance company's money instead. With the asset-based long-term care planning, the balance of that account returns back to your family. If you didn't need it all, your family's getting all the money plus interest that policy accumulated. Mm-hmm. If you've only partially used it and didn't use it all, that remaining balance is going to go back to the family instead of being kept with the insurance company.
Are there minimums?
Yes, of course, the insurance companies are going to have some minimums. Right now, I'd say the minimum in Minnesota is 40,000. Maximum could be about 600,000. And it could be anywhere in between that you'd be comfortable with. And again, I want to repeat, though, we're not giving the money away. We're just
Right.
repositioning it into a different savings vehicle. So people don't have to feel like if I set this money aside for long-term care, it's not my money anymore. And I can't reverse the decision later if I change my mind about it. These asset-based long-term care plans have exit ramps for you that if you change your mind about the planning, you're not locked into it for the rest of your life at a loss.
Sure. This is such great information, guys. And I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about annuities. And Larry, you've said many times, I think a lot of people have an annuity and they have absolutely no idea what they're paying or what's happening there. So if you are someone who has questions about annuities, and for that matter, insurance and anything else related to the subject of retirement, give the folks at Haven Financial Group a call. It's 612-504-8400. I would be willing to bet that this conversation today is resonating with many people who are listening and they have questions. Again, it's 612-504-8400. Set up a free consultation. Go in. Let's get some of these questions answered for you there at Haven Financial Group. When we come back, we're going to talk about mistakes that you want to avoid when it comes to insurance and retirement. This is the Haven Financial Group radio show.